Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about China and its current economic situation. We all know that China was in a draconian lockdown for 3 years, and many businesses closed down in China, and many of them went out of business permanently. Situation is not going well in China, and people are feeling a bleak outlook economically into the future. And I came across this article which summarizes pretty well. Um, we refresh it. Yeah, this thing is not working, but it's okay. It says that China's economy is headed for a dead end, and Beijing won't do anything to stop it. So basically, um, the Chinese government knows that its economy is not doing well, but it's kind of running out of tools to stimulate its economy. Its interest rate is already at its historic lowest point, and there's a large amount of quantitative easing, uh, another word for money printing, that's going on already more than the US. Um, I think China printed more of its currency than any other country combined. So it's a pretty staggering statistic. But still, the economy is not recovering as expected. People are not spending enough money to stimulate the economy because people are uncertain of the future and they are trying to save as much money as they possibly can. Coupled with the real estate slump that happened with a few big name developers that pretty much blowed up during the past few years, and its real estate has been on a downtrend ever since. So things are not looking good for China, and let's dig into this video to this article to see um, some opinions from some researchers. So it says that China's leadership is relying on an export surge to revive slumping growth, but those policies won't extract the world's second largest economy from the malaise that it's in, a top China watcher said. Annie, co-founder of J Capital Research and the author of Wild Ride, a short history of the opening and closing of the Chinese economy, pointed to failures by Beijing in a book on Saturday. Years of erratic and irresponsible policies, excessive Communist Party control, and undelivered promises of reform have created a dead-end Chinese economy of weak domestic consumer demand and slowing growth, she wrote. The only way that China's leaders can see to pull themselves out of this hole is to fall back on pumping out exports. The result will be more tension with China's trade partners as cheap manufactured goods continue to flood markets, while the Chinese people will turn gloomier, causing the government to get more repressive. This researcher predicted. The root cause of China's economic problem is the Communist Party's excessive control, which isn't going away. Yeah, which is absolutely true. What she said there, the control is on its people, especially on the information level, is pretty insane, and it's only gonna get worse. Well, its strategies that focus on adding more industrial capacity are counterproductive, she said, because we all know that China has excessive industrial capacity. It builds and manufactures more products than it consumes, so it has to export these uh, materials and products to other countries. And it looks like such scenario is gonna become more extreme. Most economists have recommended that Chinese leaders loosen their grip on the private sector and promote more consumption, which would entail reforming the government, and that is unacceptable, she added. The 1989 Tiananmen Square protests represented an opportunity to liberalize the government in response to the growing private sector that emerged from economic reforms started a decade earlier, but that would have weakened the Communist Party's power, she pointed out. Instead, China's leaders chose to shoot the protesters, further tighten party control, and get hooked on government investment to fuel the economy, she said. In the decades that followed, China's investment driven growth sought to pacify the people, while its cheap exports kept prices lower in the West. Meanwhile, debt piled up throughout China, and new infrastructure and housing sat underutilized. Now, the president is running out of policy options, she warned, as Chinese consumers refuse to boost spending and China's trade partners put up more barriers to its exports. In fact, the Biden administration is poised to impose severe tariffs on a range of Chinese goods. Yeah, this is what I talked about in my last video. Go check it out if you haven't already. It covers this aspect and how Biden is placing tariffs on Chinese products like what Trump did, but even more severe. So check that out. Innovation won't come to the rescue either, as China's economy still relies mostly on replicating existing technologies, she added. All of this means that the reform and opening era, which has transformed China and captivated the world since it began in the late 1970s, has ended with a whimper, she concluded. Mao Zedong once said that, in case you don't know, Mao Zedong is the first president of China since it declared independence and took control of China mainland. So he said that in an uncertain world, the Chinese must dig tunnels deep, store grain everywhere, and never seek hegemony. That sort of siege mentality is coming back. China's slowing growth, real estate crisis, high youth unemployment, and US restrictions on key technologies have led to predictions of a so-called lost decade of stagnation, pointing to China's aging population. Veteran strategist last year said the country could become the world's largest nursing home. But a top China expert warned last month against such pessimism, saying it could lead the US to grow complacent. While its growth has slowed in recent years, China is likely to expand at twice the rate of the United States in the years ahead, wrote Nicholas, a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute. So basically, yeah, China is slowing down, but it was still growing at a faster pace than the US. So there you have it. That's the gist of this article, and what I think is that this article did a pretty good job summarizing what's happening and what's likely to happen, and I agree with most of the points here. Yeah, so all I want to add is that, even though China is slowing down dramatically and it has a lot of internal, external problems, but we can argue the same for the US, because the economic situation in the US is not going as well as expected as well. As a matter of fact, it has become pretty much a global phenomenon where countries, every major country in this world is experiencing slowing growth, aging population, and declining birth rate. So, I think it's a challenge that every country has to face not just specifically applicable to China. So yeah, those are some thoughts. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. I will see you next time.